And how do people select the right food for their pond fish? Because there are many choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think I counted about 22 different types of pond food that we're producing. So I suppose I don't really want to go through, if you've got this fish, feed that food, or if you've got, this species, feed that particular food. I think we can put our foods into different categories based on size, first of all. So that the size of the food you need to feed ultimately is going to be governed by the size of your fish's mouth. If you've got some little sort of 2-year-old goldfish in a pond, there's no point feeding them a filthy great koi pellet because they're really going to struggle to get it in their mouth. So it's about matching the size of the food morsel to the size of the fish's mouth. But then we've also got to be thinking, well, what do I want from a food? If I've got goldfish, if I've got koi carp, I've got them because they're colourful. I want to see the colours. Now those fish, they're not just, if they're going to express that colour, they've got to get those pigments from somewhere. They can't magic these carotenoid pigments from nowhere. The carotenoid pigments have to be supplied in the diet. In the wild, those carotenoids would be in the algae that they're eating, and they'd be in the crustaceans and things that the fish are eating. It's going to be a tiny amount of that in the pond, but not enough to colour the fish. If we want our lovely goldfish, our shabunkins and our koi carp and things to be colourful, then we've got to give them the building blocks to express that colour. To make those colour pigments, those building blocks have got to be in the food. So we might then be going down the colour enhancing route. If we've got small fish that we would like to become big fish, then we want them growing. And some foods, like our Tetra pond sticks, are sort of like a maintenance diet. We can make growth foods, which have then got much higher protein levels in them, which can then fuel that greater growth we want from the fish. If we're just wanting a maintenance regime for our fish, if we're feeding them a growth food, that can probably be a bit too much nitrogen going into the system, and that could then lead to excessive ammonia levels that we wouldn't necessarily want to be dealing with.
It is such a complex and, like you say, 22 products. It's such a large topic. We could probably do a whole episode just on feeding.
Let's. Yeah.
I mean, what if people forget to feed their fish? Is there enough natural food in the pond? Bugs and beasts.
No, I think
no.
Whether you want to know what a pond, if ever you get a chance to go look in a wildlife pond, a pond that's got no fish in it, it's amazing the dominance of invertebrate life in there. Dragonfly and damselfly larvae and diving beetle larvae. These become the top predators in the pond, and it's. You take out a handful of pondweed in a wildlife pond that's got no fish in it, and that pondweed is just boiling with invertebrates. But the moment fish go in there, they become the top predators, and they will then clean out, all of these larger sort of carnivorous crustaceans. So a fish pond is a really top-heavy food chain, if you like. It's a food chain that's got way too many top predators in it. So there's not enough food lower down the food chain. The things that the fish would want to eat naturally, which is going to be algae, and it's going to be more sort of small crustaceans and stuff. There's just not enough of that in the pond in itself for the fish to eat. Another great way to sort of illustrate this is if a pond keeper goes and looks at the life living in the filter, and look in the filter chambers, which is a part of the pond the fish can't get to, and look at all the invertebrates living in there. And you think that's what the pond would look like if the fish weren't there. So because this ecosystem's top heavy, the food chain's top heavy, there's not enough food for those goldfish or koi carp or whatever. So we've got to be artificially feeding them. We've got to be giving them a food to compensate for the fact that there isn't the food chain. The food chain isn't a pyramid getting bigger and bigger at each trophic level as we go down. Like I said, it's far too top heavy. Another point as well is that if we're feeding a quality pond fish food, it's what we call nutritionally complete. It's supplying every nutrient, every essential amino acid, every essential fatty acid, every vitamin, mineral that those fish need in their diet to survive and grow and reproduce. It's all there. As long as we're feeding that food within date, it hasn't passed its best before date, then we're getting everything the fish needs into it. And anything else they can find in the pond is an extra treat. It's added. We know as a baseline that food going in is what they need. So that's that. And of course, what we can do with our pond fish foods as well is we can put extra stuff in. We can put colour enhancers in. We can put immunostimulants in, special molecules which are going to be making certain parts of that non-specific immune system way more active. So immunostimulants like beta-glucans can go into our foods, which can really help the fish with their battle against the pathogen in their pond.
And it's nutrients to help maintain the health and well-being of the fishes in the pond.